Here are 3 facts you didn't know about Christmas. Fact number 1, every time somebody puts a Christmas tree up in November, Santa Claus murders an elf. Fact number 2, Rudolph had a red nose because he was a cocaine addict. And fact number 3, Christmas jumpers were originally created to recognize people that should have been shot at birth.
Disturbing lost episode of Mickey Mouse. The episode started off with Mickey Mouse walking down a street when he walked up to a man and ripped out his eyeballs and then just continued walking. Mickey held the eyes in his hands and another man came up to him and said, "Why do you have eyes in your hands?" Mickey then laughed and tried to kill the man. He grabbed a gun and knives and threw the knives at the man's body and shot him in the head and hands. Unable to move, the man started to speak gibberish and Mickey told him to shut up, but it was no use. His gibberish continued. The man had real blood coming from his face, body, and hands. The camera then zoomed in on Mickey Mouse, and he said, "Go and die, you stupid idiot." Mickey then started walking down the street with a very creepy smile on his face, and whistling an unidentified song. The episode then ends and the credits start to run, but they're not normal credits, they're very scary ones. You could hear very creepy whispering, and the characters they showed looked starved and tortured.
Down by the bay, where the watermelon rocks, If you go home, just don't get caught,
There was a time when the fear of being buried alive was legitimate. Doctors couldn't always tell the difference between a coma and actual death, which led to some people waking up inside their own coffins. To avoid that, safety coffins were designed. A rope would be strung from the coffin to a bell above ground, letting anyone nearby know someone was still alive. One grave in Savannah's Bonaventure Cemetery still has a bell attached. You can see it on the side of the Charles F. Mills plot. But if you hear that bell ring, don't answer it. Charles has been dead since 1876.
Cursed games you should never play, Part 4. The Devil's Dog. You can do it by yourself or in a group of 4 with one person in the middle. You close your eyes, you hunch into a little ball and say, "Devil's dog, Satan, bring me devil's dog." And you say that over and over again until you feel scratches on your back. Now you have been marked by the Hellhounds. Now they will provide you with protection, but it also will be cursed. But we don't know the consequences yet. Cursed games you should never play, Part 30. Light as a feather, stiff as a board. With this game you can make one of your friends levitate. First of all, one of you should pretend to be dead, and the rest of you say the phrase light as a feather, stiff as a board. And while you do that, you should have your middle and index finger under the person who is lying down, and continue chanting this phrase until the person levitates. Do you think that this game works?
This is why you should never play hide and seek. A mom decided to play hide and seek with her 2 kids. The mom began counting, ready or not, here I come. She begins searching the downstairs kitchen because she knows that they hide there every single time. As she's walking to the kitchen, she starts saying, I wonder where they are. She looks under the table and sees they aren't there, which is kind of odd. She knew they were too scared to go into the basement alone, but she decided to check anyway. They weren't there either. She began to panic. The mom then says, "Jordan, Casey, come out now, mommy's not playing anymore." There was no answer. Panic really begins to set in. She decides to call 911 and reaches an operator. She tells the operator what's wrong and the operator sends an officer to her house. Once the officer arrives, he says, "Don't worry, we will find them." As she's sitting in the living room, she hears giggling and laughing and hears a closet door slam upstairs. She sprints upstairs and says, "Jordan, Casey, you worried me sick." She opened the closet door and nobody was there. While all of this is going on, she hears the doorbell ring. She runs downstairs and finds the officer holding Jordan and Casey. The officer says, "They were hiding in the shed out back." Then Jordan looks at mommy and says, "Why were you telling us to stay in the shed?"
This is why you should always lock your doors. In 2015, an Australian guy took 3 Snapchat videos of his exotic birds and put them on his story. 15 minutes later, his buddy texts him asking, "What was in the window behind you on that last one?" He pulls up the videos and sure enough, in the last one you can clearly see someone is pressed against the glass. Nothing comes of the Snapchat videos, but a week later, he hears banging coming from that same door in his house, and he gets his phone out and he walks over to film it in case there's someone there. There isn't, but he uploads the video to YouTube anyways. The next day, someone sends him an enhanced version of that video where, as he's walking to investigate the noises, someone with a mask on is standing in the corner of his house. He goes to the police, who look at the video and they're like, sorry, that is a masked intruder in your home. So if you value your life, go follow this Australian. I used some of the original footage, so please be advised. In the early 2000s, a video was discovered inside one of the scariest places on Earth. It's called the catacombs, and it's one of the world's largest mass graves. To get to it, you need to wriggle through these claustrophobia-inducing tunnels hundreds of feet below the city of Paris. The video was found miles and miles into one of the least explored sections of the catacombs. The video is largely uneventful until he starts following these arrows that he sees on the wall and that he sees on the ground. And these arrows bring him to these rooms that are completely full of human bones, which catacombs experts have no idea where they are. Like, they don't know where this is. Then out of nowhere, something spooks him and he starts sprinting deeper and deeper into the catacombs until he drops his camera, and then all you hear is his panic breathing and footsteps as he disappears. While nobody knows what actually happened to this guy, everybody seems to agree that the footage is authentic.